All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at BETONLINE. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. I am excited. I am ready to go talking about Nikola Jokic and your Denver Nuggets, who won last night in impressive fashion. It didn't end the way it probably should have, but the crescendo of that game was obviously so much more important than the final quarter. This was an incredible moment, and one where I have to continue to remind myself sometimes of how important this moment in history is, covering the Nuggets, being a Nuggets fan, being in this era of Denver hoops, and just being in this city. Like, everybody went insane last night, and trying to contextualize what we saw, trying to come up with the words to even explain how it happened, what was happening, was very difficult. This is, I mean, covering Nikola Jokic is an exercise in futility sometimes, because you have to come up with new ways to explain greatness, new ways to explain things that we have never seen before, and try to contextualize just how wild that is, while giving everybody else the time of day that they deserve too, because it's not just Nikola Jokic, of course. There's so many other layers to this Nuggets team and how they have evolved. But then you kind of come back to that guy and you start to realize, oh my God, we are not doing him justice, because what we are seeing is greater than I've ever seen in my entire life. And we'll get into it all. We'll talk about it all for sure. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Hit that like button if you can. Hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it if you're stopping by, especially if you're stopping by for the first time. Really quickly, this podcast, as you know, it's brought to you by the good folks over at BetOnline, who continue to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from football. This is a championship Sunday in the NFL, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, and more. BetOnline is your number one sports betting source for the new year. Make sure to check it out. Click that link down below. BetOnline, the game starts here. Once again, I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. This is going to be a fascinating one. This is going to be an interesting one. This is obviously mostly going to be about Jokic. 35 points last night, 22 rebounds, 17 assists. He was like even better than that, frankly, through three quarters. The numbers that he continues to put up are patently ridiculous. And getting to watch that at the beginning, when it's funny, Denver playing Sacramento. Sacramento's been awesome over the course of these last few weeks, trying to recover where they were when they fired Mike Brown. And they've been great. They were 10-1 in their last 11 games heading into the game last night. Of course, they're on a second night of a back-to-back, traveling west to east. That is a really difficult situation to be in, because they got in and probably asleep at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning before that game. And so it's tough. Like, you want to give folks the benefit of the doubt, and you want to give guys like Domantas Sabonis the benefit of the doubt. And he had what I thought was a really impressive stat line of 23 points, 19 rebounds, and 8 assists. If Jokic did that, then we'd give Jokic credit for, like, hey, you had a pretty good game. And yet, like, there's just no comparison between these two. And folks that try to make the comparison are just doing themselves a disservice, because you watch, like, you see the memes going around of Alperen Şengün, Domantas Sabonis, and Nikola Jokic being Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, like, for those Pokemon fans out there. And it's just so true, except Jokic is like Mega Charizard in this case. It's crazy. It's just insane. 35, 22, and 17 for Jokic. It's never been done before, but it's not even just about those numbers. It's about the way that he accumulates them. how it's inevitable. There's no way for anybody else to really match up with what he's doing. And for somebody like Sabonis, who like he's given Joker some problems in the past, Joker hasn't been as successful in terms of creating efficient offense as he has been at other points. I think Joker may have taken that a little bit personally. He got the better of Sabonis last night. And Denver got out to this big lead, a lot of it being in transition, taking advantage of the Kings not converting on their opportunities, and then the Nuggets running in fast breaks. Denver kind of pushing the tempo on a consistent basis. Christian Brown had a good game. Michael Porter found some opportunities, of course. Russell Westbrook continues to shine. But, of course, it's Joker. And he's in the end of the quarter. Like, he plays the entire 12 minutes. And right at the end, 1.7 seconds remaining, you've all seen the play by now. Joker takes the ball from an out of bounds from Aaron Gordon, about 3/4 of the court away, and chucks it like a small little Nerf football, just a very small football, and chucks it the length of the floor, drops it in the bucket. Unbelievable shot. I was stun locked. The rest of the arena was just completely floored at that point. And it's those moments where like I couldn't operate for 3 minutes. I'm sitting next to Matt Moore, and we were both catatonic for that entire time, trying to process what we had just seen, because we had such a great view of it right behind the play. And he just continues to shock us at all times. Denver goes up by 25 at that point. And yeah, Denver, like, they let the team back into it. They let Sacramento back into it. Shout out to Doug McDermott, who also sitting next to Vinny Benedetto, who is a Creighton alum, and he was having a good time because he got to watch the two greatest players of all time for him, Jokic and Doug McDermott. And yeah, Dougie McBuckets, he got the Kings back into it with some of the shot making that he had. Michael Porter Jr., of course, mostly to blame for him getting as open as he was during that stretch. But the Kings, they worked their way back, and Jokic had to come back in. And Denver ultimately restored order. It wasn't perfect, but they were able to get it done. And you just look at it and think, how is this even possible? Like, what is this that we are watching at this point? You can see the averages. You can see the numbers. You can see the way that everything kind of coalesces and comes together. It's his 5th straight triple-double, and he had it like all 5 of them he had before the end of the third quarter, which is just crazy. I'm pretty sure he had, 22 and 15 heading into the final period. That's just crazy. But his ability to make that happen and to make it look simple, nobody's ever done that before. Some of the passes that he was throwing, especially the ones where he was whipping the ball from mid-court, half-court, kind of just crossing the timeline area all the way to the left corner on a rope. One caught by Christian Brown and made, one caught by Julian Strawther and made. Those are just crazy numbers and crazy passes to be able to put together. And it's how I know when people are talking about stat padding and things like that, I know that they're not watching. I know that they're not watching what I just saw. Jokic is grabbing these defensive rebounds while fighting off Domantas Sabonis, the best rebounder in the NBA, statistically. Jokic is directing traffic and setting the table for everybody, dumping off easy passes, give and goes with Michael Porter Jr. for dunks, whipping for wide open threes in the opposite corner, passes that we'd be giving LeBron James and James Harden and all of these point guards and like ball handlers. So much props for them to be able to do. Joker's just doing it because he can. And then he's posting up Sabonis, somebody who, again, he's had problems scoring efficiently on in the past. And he's just dropping in like buckets over and over again. And on top of that, you get the the 3/4 court shot. I asked him about it last night. Why do you take heaves? He's actually leads the NBA in total number of heaves attempted at the end of the game, or at the end of a quarter, excuse me. Just like the hero shots. He leads the entire league, and he made his first one last night. He made one where he crossed half court against Atlanta early in the season, but because it was over half court, I don't think they counted as a heave. But the fact that he's able to do that, and the fact that he's willing to do that, I asked him, hey, why do you do it when so many others would try to save their three-point percentage? He basically said it simply, it's 3 points. I think it could help us. It's 3 points. Like, what if it goes in? And to have that perspective, of course, is the ultimate competitor. He's not stat padding in those moments. What are you going to do? Stat pad a full court shot? Like, are you kidding? Just, you never want to take it for granted. You never want to look back at this moment and say, oh man, I didn't fully appreciate what we were seeing at that point. And it's impossible to, because like he's playing unbelievable. This is, I put it in the title, the greatest season that I have ever seen. He's playing at the highest level that I have ever seen anybody play. I wasn't alive for Jordan. I was born in 1996 and obviously wasn't watching when I was 1 year old when he was winning titles. So I haven't seen anything but like basically everything since 2000. And I just keep coming back to LeBron is awesome. LeBron is fantastic. Watching his career, watching the longevity of what he's provided, watching the overall level of dominance in the playoffs against the Eastern Conference is great. Like he's awesome. But what Joker continues to do in terms of assuming all of this responsibility, saying, okay, it's fine if the other guys don't do a ton because I'm willing to do more. It's fine if I need to be the scorer because I'm willing to do more. It's fine if you want me to lead the league in rebounding. I'm willing to do more. Oh, you need me to be better like defensively? I'll just average 1.9 steals a game, which is crazy. That's insane for a center. Oh, and you need me to attempt these full court shots now? Don't care about my 3-point percentage. I'll do more. And it's why he is so good. He continues to ask how I can help the team win and continues to add more things to his game that allow him to be better. There's going to become a threshold period where we're going to see him never become better and actually start to get worse. And I rue the day when that's going to happen. It'll happen eventually. Hopefully it's not for a while. But what we're seeing right now, his willingness and his ability to shoulder so much responsibility and the effectiveness with which he does it, nobody's ever done that before. Not like this. Nobody shoots like Steph Curry, scores like LeBron, passes like Chris Paul, and rebounds like Sabonis. Nobody does that. It's a treasure to watch. It's really, really cool. The full court shot was awesome. The thumbnail that I used for this show, it's a shot of him talking to Katie Wingy. Katie is just like, she's giddy at something that he said. And it's a genuinely heartfelt picture, which is actually really cool. Shout out to Katie Wingy. She's the best. And I feel like she has represented Nuggets fans in all of that, where you see that picture and you see Jokic, and in the background there is a signage that the Nuggets use that says thank you. And it's right over Jokic's head. And Katie's just looking on with genuine joy and awe, laughing at something that he said. It's a really cool moment. This moment will never be matched for the Nuggets. ever. And it's why so many people want to take advantage of this moment with championships and rings and advancing in the playoffs. It's why there's so much pressure. But I just need to take a step back from that and say, hey, appreciate it no matter what happens going forward, because we're seeing the greatest player that I've ever seen in my life. This peak is insane. It's insane. All right. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll chat about the rest of this game. We'll chat about the Nuggets rolling, figuring stuff out. And then I'm going to prep everybody for the 5-game road trip that the Nuggets have upcoming. Should be fun. Looking forward to it. We will be right back here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Obviously, Joker doing what he did last night is going to get every headline, and deservedly so. He was unbelievable. Again, plus 11 in 37 minutes in a game the Nuggets won by 9. He continues to be the difference for the Nuggets in so many of these wins. Also had a steal and 2 blocks. 9 of 10 from the field, 12 of 19 from 9 of 10 from free throw line, 12 of 19 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. He's unbelievable, and this will never be topped. Other guys did help, though. Jamal Murray had a Jekyll and Hyde kind of game. He was awesome in the first half, and I don't want that to be lost. There were a lot of people clowning him for the second half and just not playing up to standard and not playing well. I get that. I understand that. I watch what he did in the first half and think, wow, that was very, very impressive. And that helped get Denver the 22-point lead that they had. It wasn't just Joker at that point. Jamal was playing excellent basketball. It didn't continue in the second half, and that's another story in and of itself. But want to make sure that was noticed. Christian Brown got into foul trouble early, but he still managed to play 25 minutes and had 21 points, 8 of 14, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 of 4 from the line, a couple steals, a block as well. He had, when Sacramento was coming back in that fourth quarter, he had a massive steal at half court and effectively ended the game by picking off that pass and then running out for a dunk and screaming and doing the thing. It was awesome. Basically took the lead from 7 to 9 with about a minute and a half left. And there was nothing the Kings were going to be able to do at that point. So credit to CB. He stuck with it. He looked out of sorts initially in that game last night, but he came back around, made the right plays, was playing really good defense. I thought he got hit with some really tough whistles early on, and it was a very impressive moment for him. Russell Westbrook as well. He got to the podium, had the nails painted, which was pretty cool. Like his daughters painted them before the game, and he was able to play with painted nails, which that's great. Like, guys, I know there is a relative culture that something like that isn't acceptable. It's just dumb. Like, we're in a new time. We're in a new era. It's okay. It's just fun. Like, just let people have fun. Because we posted something about it and then had some folks that were not as accepting as many other people would be. But I don't know. Like, Russ is a 17-year vet and he's got 2 twin daughters. Let him enjoy life. Like, absolutely. He's having a great time. And he played great. Like, he continues to play awesome for the Nuggets. 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Did miss 4 free throws in the beginning and looked a little bit out of sorts at the free throw line. There was at one point where he missed his first 3 free throws of the game, and then he just turned around and needed to collect himself a little bit. And he was able to do so. It was great to see. But the threes that he's hitting are wild. It's just wild to see him shoot with that much confidence and play with that much confidence right now. He's obviously never been lacking for confidence, but he's turning himself into a 3-point shooter, which is something he's never been in his entire career. So credit to him for figuring it out. staying efficient. The late pass that he had to Joker, where he drove into the teeth of 3 defenders and then dropped it off for Jokic for a layup, was awesome. And he just continues to fit into what this Nuggets team needs. Absolutely. So pretty cool to see. And Michael Porter. Personally, I didn't think that Michael Porter played that great of a game. He did finish with 20 points, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. Did grab 4 offensive rebounds. So there were some good things that he did, of course. And then he had a block. I don't remember who it was on. Maybe it was on Sabonis, but it was on somebody driving to the rim and just smacked it. Just smacked it down. So there were good things that he did. I don't want to disparage that at all. I just thought he was in the wrong place like half of the time. And the fact that he was able to accumulate the numbers that he did while kind of being out of place was impressive. But he was also one of the reasons why, hey, Doug McDermott comes in, scores 15 points in 11 minutes on 5 of 7 from the field and 5 of 6 from 3. And Doug McDermott was a plus 20 in the fourth quarter because he didn't play before that. It was kind of interesting for Doug Christie, the interim head coach for the Kings, to make that move, but it clearly paid off and they nearly got back into it. Yeah, gotta love it. But hey, if that's going to be Mike's bad game, I'll take it. 20 points, 8 rebounds, a steal and a block. Pretty good stuff. Off the bench, the Nuggets did not have a lot of great bench contributions. The plus minus was there with some of those guys. Plus 14 for Julian, plus 12 for Peyton Watson. Actually, the defense that Peyton Watson displayed, that should be confirmed. He did make a 3 as well. Just missing a lot of free throws, and I think still the drives to the rim are awkward, and he still hasn't quite figured it out. I definitely think that putting on 15 pounds of muscle is going to help him when he drives to the rim. It'll take a couple of years. He's not going to be like right on track with that. But I do think that putting on a little bit of that and being a little bit more physical will certainly help his game. But look, hard to argue with 4 blocks. He did a great job against Fox, who was 7 of 24. And then Keegan Murray was okay. DeMar DeRozan was making his shots, but again, he's just not with DeRozan. It's just not that valuable, the shots that he's taking and making. There are other guys that are making more valuable shots, but DeMar's 9 of 16, 0 of 2 from 3. And he did get to the free throw line a fair amount of times, but 1 assist, not really helping on defense. Just not really a fan of DeRozan's game. And Aaron Gordon, this was a weird one for Denver. 17 minutes for him. He played 5 minutes in the first quarter, and then he actually told this to Katie Winge in the locker room after the game. The reason why he went back to the locker room in between the first quarter and second quarter and then never came back in the second quarter, he thought that he had hurt his calf again. He was very frustrated. He went back, he got it checked out. Everything was okay. Walked back out to the court. Didn't play in the second quarter, but did play his normal minutes in the third and fourth. I thought his energy was really odd, was really off. And maybe that context definitely helps. Just knowing that hey, he was a little bit nervous, or maybe not nervous, but a little bit concerned that he was going to hurt the calf. It wouldn't surprise me that kind of threw him a little bit. And so, look, hopefully it's not something that sticks around for long. This is why the Nuggets have to continue to be cautious with him. I also had somebody in my mentions yesterday that reminded me that Jamal Murray was dealing with a similar calf injury in the playoffs last year. And that to me is okay, you start to understand why guys aren't really able to move, why they aren't really able to lift when they don't have a lot of confidence in their ability to get to point A to point B. And kind of get that. I understand that. Provides a little bit more context maybe on Jamal's individual struggles. So, look, guys never want to make injury excuses. Nobody ever wants to hear injury excuses, especially when you're playing. If you are playing, you have to be graded upon. as if you're good. But the added context definitely helps. So hopefully Aaron is okay. Hopefully he continues to progress as opposed to kind of staying at the same level or maybe deteriorating and getting worse. It would be nice if Denver had him at full strength heading into the playoffs. Going to be interesting. And then like DeAndre Jordan was fine. Nothing crazy. The passes that he drops sometimes or kind of gets disrupted with, not awesome, but he continues to grab rebounds. That's very helpful for Denver. Denver won the rebounding battle 56-53. A lot of offensive rebounds for the Sacramento Kings, but most of those came against the start or like from the starters. Although I will say the Kings just rotated their starters in and out and played them a whole bunch of minutes at various points. Like Sabonis played 39, DeMar played 37, De'Aaron Fox played 40, Keegan Murray played 30 only, but he had 5 offensive rebounds. And like they played heavy minutes. They wanted to get this game. They tried to do what they needed to do. And that is that's a good win for Denver. Despite the fact that Sacramento came back and put some pressure on Denver, Sacramento was 10-1 in their previous 11 games. They had been playing great basketball. And Joker just took their soul. Like, that's how it is. Just how it is. It's awesome. Yeah, be interesting to see. I'm curious to see how it continues to evolve for Denver. But yeah, really like what I've seen from the Nuggets, guys. It has been a treat to be able to see it. AJ is asking for me to talk trades. I'm not going to talk trades today. This is not the day to talk trades. There will be a day in the very near future where I do discuss some trades. I am going to do a pod at some point soon where I do projected trades or what I would do if I were various teams and then how I would handle this if I were the Nuggets. So that's coming up. It's not coming up today, but it'll come up soon. Let's talk about the road trip before we get out of here. The Nuggets are... Okay, let me just, before this. Chris asks, Ryan, be honest, did Jamal have to play 40 minutes? No, he didn't have to play 40 minutes. But the way the Nuggets are running their rotation, Jamal or Russ is going to be on the floor at all times. They're not playing Jalen Pickett. Maybe they should have started the fourth with Jalen Pickett instead of Jamal. But like that's just part of the normal rotation. And I think that Michael Malone thought that this was going to go about the same way that it had gone previously. And if Denver had been able to maintain the lead that they had, Jamal would have played closer to 34, 35 minutes as opposed to 40. He was at 28 before the end of when Jokic hit that shot. He was at 28 minutes and then he played the entire fourth. But the reason he played the entire fourth was obvious because the Kings were coming back and Michael Malone didn't want to play without Murray on the floor. And I get that. Murray's been playing great overall, so you want to see him out there. That's all it is. Okay, 5-game road trip. Let's get back to this. Denver is going on their... I think this is the only 5-game road trip that they have on the season. They had a 3-game road trips earlier in the season. Later, they have a 4-game road trips. So this is the only 5-game road trip that they have. Tomorrow, they're flying now, I believe, going to Minnesota. They're going to play a 1 p.m. Mountain Time start in Minnesota tomorrow. At Minnesota, then at Chicago on Monday, then at New York next Wednesday, then at Philly on next Friday, and then a back-to-back at Charlotte on Saturday. So it's not that bad. They're traveling kind of central time zone, Minnesota to Chicago. Then they're traveling to the Atlantic and playing New York, playing Philly. The last game at Charlotte is going to be a tough one, but that's against Charlotte. So in theory, Denver should be able to overcome that. Minnesota is a tough matchup for Denver still, despite the fact that they are not playing their best basketball. The Nuggets are playing a lot better. Minnesota is still a tough matchup, and like they can do some things. So they're 6-4 in their last 10, and Anthony Edwards is still a threat, especially against Denver. So I'm curious to see how the Nuggets handle it. I'm curious to see what they do. Can Christian Brown really match up well with him? Peyton Watson, will he get an opportunity? Denver hasn't faced Minnesota since Game 5 of the season. The Nuggets are a distinctly different team than they were in Game 5 of the regular season. So I'm curious to see how Denver evolves and looks against them. It would be fascinating to watch. Will Minnesota continue to outscore Denver, especially with those bench minutes? That is another thing entirely. That's one that I'll be watching. Like, because Denver can win the starting minutes, but I'm looking at Naz Reid. I'm looking at Rudy Gobert when he staggers with the second unit, Mike Conley, Julius Randle. Like, what are they going to look like? How are they going to handle it? That's a tough one. Then at Chicago, Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic have been playing great offensive basketball this year. They are not great defensively. Chicago as a team is a horrible defense. Denver will be able to score against them. The question is whether they'll be able to guard. LaVine is a tough matchup. That's a really tough back-to-back matchup for Christian Brown. So that'll be a big test for him. And then, congratulations, you play at New York, who Denver got blown out by earlier this season. How's that going to look? That's going to be a tough one too. Jalen Brunson's playing great. Karl Anthony Towns is a really tough matchup for Denver, specifically that 1-5 pick and roll, pick and pop. So how are the Nuggets going to handle it? OG Anunoby, the last time he faced the Nuggets, at 37 points. What are the Nuggets going to do? How are they going to match up with him? Then at Philly, I don't think that Joel Embiid will be back by then. That's probably a safe guess, but if he is back, that'll be just objectively funny if he missed the game in Denver and then came back for the game in Philly. Again, I've already done the Joel Embiid conversation here. I don't blame him for being injured. It would just be like humorous. So I assume that Philly will want some revenge at that point. Will they be able to get revenge because they've been so bad? I don't know. And then at Charlotte, LaMelo Ball is still a very dangerous player, although how the Charlotte Hornets match up with the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, I have no idea. That could be another crazy stat line for Jokic. So looking forward to seeing what he does. My prediction for that run, Denver is they've won 8 of their last 9. They've won 12 of their last 15. I'm going to guess they go 3-2 on this road trip. I don't think they win versus Minnesota. I don't think they win versus New York. I bet they win against Chicago, Philly, and Charlotte. That'll be my guess. But these road trips are really tough. And I remember the last time Denver went on a 5-game Atlantic road trip where they finished in New York and the Knicks just waxed them. So that'll be a tough one. We'll see what they ultimately do and how they play. But 3-2, I think, would be a good outcome. If they go 4-1, that's a great outcome. If they go 5-0, then holy hell, the Nuggets might just be unbelievable. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to watch it. We're going to really enjoy it. And I don't think that they'll go below 500 on this road trip because I think that they are in a different place as a team. But I could see them losing. Some of these matchups are really tough. So don't overreact if Denver has a lower record than you think that they should. They've earned a whole bunch of credit given the way that they've played. They've had some tough matchups, but the way that they've played when Jokic has played has been tremendous. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Should be a lot of fun. Really excited to see what Denver's able to do. All right. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends over at BetOnline. Thank you so much for tuning in. Apologies for the late show today. I set the alarm for this morning, and it didn't go off. I remember hitting the snooze button. It just didn't happen. So I've been very tired over the course of this time trying to maintain the schedule. So a like and a subscribe would be awesome. It would be really, really cool. So thank you for making it worth it for me. Always appreciate hanging out with everybody here. We'll probably do a recap show. It might be Saturday night, tomorrow night, and it might be Sunday morning. We will see which one I pick. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I'll talk to you guys very soon.